Before I even start, I just need to say that due to technical issues and issues of me just being completely incapable of finding the right words, I have restarted this video time and time again, so I, at this point, don't even believe that I'm going to get through to the end, but gotta keep trying. So, good afternoon readers, it's Tilly here from Tilly's Shelf, and today I'm going to do the Amplify Voices Black Lives Matter tag. So this tag was created by Jenny Johnston, and I've seen it done by Brian at Bookish. I don't believe that I have been tagged in this, but I think that it is a good way, that possibly the best way that I've seen of showing my support and solidarity for the Black Lives Matters protesters in the UK, in the United States and elsewhere in the world, without making it about me, if that makes sense. So I rely on YouTube for a lot of my social media interaction. I don't have Twitter, I don't use Facebook, so I use the news and I use YouTube basically. And in the last week or so, I have seen a lot of people who look very much like me, sound very much like me, are a very similar age to myself, who I follow on YouTube with completely varying degrees of closeness, making videos that are very emotional about exhorting people to inform themselves and become better allies, that to me don't add very much to the conversation and don't do very much to that are done with the best of intentions, and I have no intention of criticizing anyone for their response, because it's a difficult thing to know how to respond to, particularly in a forum like this where you know basically that a video that you make is not going to have a massive impact. It's just a way of I suppose demonstrating what your views are. So yeah, I don't mean to criticize anyone by saying this, but that videos that don't really seem to have a lot of purpose and seem more about saying, I suppose we call it virtue signalling, and I don't want to do that, but I also don't want to be silent, because it's very wrong to be silent when an issue when I like to call it an issue makes it sound like something so small, when basically when people are fighting for their fundamental rights to and equal opportunities of life and equal freedom from violence that their peers have, it's definitely wrong to be silent, because to be silent implies being complicit, or implies being happy with the way that things are, and I'm not happy, and I think most of us we are not happy with the way that things are run and the way that things are being done, and definitely, although it's difficult for, I have a perspective that is limited, but definitely within my field of work I see very frequent evidence that racism is strongly at play in the community in which I live and work, and there is a definite presence of racist thoughts and actions in the city in which I live, which is something that I sometimes witness, even though I never experience it, and it's something that you can try and counter on a small level, where somebody says something and you can say, oh, think about how you phrase that, or like, is that what you meant to say, and try and challenge people on a small level. But yeah, it's so difficult to bring about systematic change, and social media, a wonderful thing though it can be in certain contexts, I don't think that it is going to be able to make that change, and I feel like at this point I've completely kind of got lost and went off on a complete tangent. But basically the Amplify Voices tag is about taking a few minutes of your channel to focus on a Black author, and read something from their work, and just use that to say that maybe the things that maybe you're struggling to say, I suppose. So before I start my little reading, I just wanted to shout out a couple of Black Booktubers who have made impactful and honest and thought-provoking videos in the last week or so. I would say there have been definitely impactful and analytical videos from white Booktubers, but I they tend to be from people that I already have shouted out relatively frequently, and that I mean that's just due to I shout people out when I'm doing read-alongs with them, or when I'm participating in an event that they're involved in, or things like that. But one of the booktubers that I want to mention, I Leave You for Books, was talking in her video, which I will link below, about the sort of default, and I suppose my default is to read books that tend to be by white authors and join in reading events that tend to be hosted by white booktubers. I don't do that deliberately, but looking back, it is definitely something that I do. And when I set about choosing my reading list for this month and decided to choose to read books by Black and minority ethnic authors for the month, or books by people who are not from England, although they're not in a minority in their own country, if that makes sense, I found it really weird to go and look at an author and like Google them and look at a picture of them to find out whether they would fit into this reading list or not. I found that a really weird and uncomfortable thing to do, because I'm not used to selecting people by skin colour. I fundamentally, obviously, think that's quite wrong. But because I don't do that, the default is that I end up reading a lot more things by white authors, whether or not that's my intention. So that's just something that I've been thinking about and sort of questioning. So I've already mentioned I Leave You for Books. All of these booktubers are booktubers that I have been subscribed to for a long time, but for various reasons may or may not have mentioned them. So Books by Lanes did a very passionate, angry video, which I believe was the inspiration point for this tag. Justin, a ghost reader, had a very measured tone in his video, but the anger and the upset was still there, and I definitely felt like what he said really made me think a lot about just the fact that the length of time that this has been going on, and the different permutations through the ages of something that just continues to happen and adapts and just keeps happening. And then also Bow Ties and Books did a video that talked about her experience as a protester, which I will link below as well. One thing that I would say is that it's weird and it's wrong for me to only be shouting these people out at a time like this, and a number of them in the videos, if you were to watch them, do mention how weird it is to find that their subscriber count is jumping now because people are following them, like because it's cool, or because this is like, oh, I've followed a couple of black booktubers, so that means that I've responded, and that means that I've done everything that I need to do, and that's fundamentally not it. I suppose I just wanted to highlight them because I wanted to direct you to a perspective that on this issue is going to be more valid than mine, I suppose. So the extract that I'm going to read is from The Stone Sky, which is book 3 in the Broken Earth trilogy by NK Jemisin. Jemisin has won the Hugo Award for every single book in this trilogy. She is definitely a voice that has been amplified in various ways, but reading this book at this time has made me pay more attention to the aspects of it that look at systemic discrimination. So this extract that I'm going to read is actually just from the start of chapter 2, and it's chapter 1 because the first part is a prologue, and it's about the perspective of a mother thinking about how her actions in terms of refusing to conform or deciding to stop conforming have impacted on her life and the lives of members of her family and those around her, and trying to decide, like, I suppose, was it right, and did she do more harm than good by deciding not to fit into the path that society had laid out for her as a member of a group that is rigorously restricted and discriminated against? I'll let it speak for itself. I don't think there are any specific spoilers in here for the start of the third book. There are a lot of references to things within the story, so just maybe ignore them if you haven't read the series, and think about maybe the meaning of the passage overall. So, sometimes you dream of undoing it all, not flailing for the garnet obelisk in Alia, and instead watching happy black children play in the surf of a black sand beach while you bled out around a guardian's black knife. not being taken to Meof by antimony. Instead, you would have returned to the fulcrum to give birth to Corundrum. You'd have lost him after that birth, and you would never have had Inon, but both of them would probably still be alive. Well, for values of alive, if they put Corundrum into a node. But then you would never have lived in Tiramo, never have borne Uche to die beneath his father's fists, never have raised Nassan to be stolen by her father, never have crushed your once neighbours when they tried to kill you. So many lives saved, if only you had stayed in your cage, or died on demand. And here, now, long free from the ordered, staid strictures of the fulcrum, you have become mighty. Yeah. I guess one of the themes for that character at the start of the book is reflecting on those actions that she took, where she veered away from what was expected of her and started to do things that were more true to her as a person, and the pain that has resulted from that, as she mentions in the extract, it has led to multiple deaths, but also multiple moments of love. One of the characters that she mentions, Inon, was her lover for a period of time, but unfortunately he was killed due to, I suppose, the equivalent of police brutality within the world of the books. So I just thought it was maybe fitting for this moment. I think I'm going to try and do another one of these, maybe later in the week or maybe at another time, to just continue the theme and maybe add a little bit more diversity into the tag. But yeah, the tag asks you to tag 5 white booktubers to do this. I think anyone from any background, if you think that this is a nice thing to do and that you would like to spend some time reading from an author that's not from your background, then I would say go ahead and do it. I'm not going to specifically tag anyone, but I would like to see more people doing this. Okay, take care everyone, and if you're protesting, stay safe. If you're somewhere where COVID is still very prevalent, stay extra safe. And yeah, all the best. Bye.